If J.J. McCarthy doesn't live up to the hype/expectations, how many seasons will the Vikings allow him to be on their team? 1, 2, or 3? Remember this. Remember this. And I don't know how good he's going to be. Had an 80-yard touchdown pass in practice yesterday to Jordan Addison. Although the video that's making the rounds on social media, you really can't see the ball. All you see is the ball coming in and the catch. You don't even see the ball coming in, you just see the catch. So I don't know what the ball looked like in the air. But I know it created a lot of excitement. And this is the time of year for excitement, while also waiting for the news that someone's been carted off with a knee injury. It's a weird stew of emotions if you're a football fan. But he's in year 2 of a slotted rookie contract as the 10th overall pick. Yes, his contract's fully guaranteed, but he's going to be there for the next 3 years. Like, you need quarterbacks. If Kevin O'Connell has learned anything during his time as Vikings head coach, you need quarterbacks. You need to have guys ready to go. So if for some reason J.J. McCarthy doesn't play well enough and he's benched for someone else, you still keep him because relative to what a veteran quarterback is going to cost, it's cheap. And he knows the system. He knows the personnel. There's no reason to move on from him because you may need him at some point. He's benched on merit. He may be unbenched due to necessity. Look at Bryce Young. Bryce Young got benched last year. Andy Dalton was the guy. Andy Dalton gets injured. Bryce Young's back in. All of a sudden, he's got it together. Changes the whole narrative that, oh, you can't bench a young quarterback. You may ruin him. Hell, you may make him better. Maybe the wake-up call he needs. They tried to do it with Zach Wilson with the Jets. It didn't work, but you just never know. So, I mean, this is a very literal and simple answer to the question, but he will be with the team for the next 3 years because his money is so low relative to what it would cost to find a veteran quarterback who doesn't know your system at all, unless they'd be bringing back Kirk Cousins. But still, Cousins wouldn't be as cheap as McCarthy's going to be the next 3 years. He's going to be there. Question is he going to be on the field? And how's he going to do? And there are Vikings fans that are very excited about what he's going to do. Others are a little more skeptical. I think back to 2000. I was on with Paul Allen yesterday, the voice of the Vikings. And I remembered when Dante Culpepper, who didn't play as a rookie in 1999, it was Randall Cunningham and then Jeff George. After the 99 season, they had Culpepper, who was the 11th overall pick in 99. Dennis Green tried to convince Dan Marino to come play for the Vikings for a year. He declined to do it. So they went with Culpepper. It was kind of that same, are they going to go after Aaron Rodgers? Are they going to get Aaron Rodgers? I mean, Denny Green tried to get Dan Marino, and Marino didn't want to do it. Settled for Culpepper, and Culpepper was great. They went to the NFC Championship in his rookie year. And if Antonio Freeman doesn't make the he did what catch on a Monday night in Lambeau, and the Vikings win that game, Vikings would have had the number 1 seed in the NFC that year. It was down to like the end of the season. All the Vikings had to do was win one game, and they would have locked down the number 1 seed, and they blew it, and they had to go to New York, and they got blown out 41-0 by the Giants on the grass at the time at the old, what was it, Meadowlands. It wasn't even MetLife Stadium. So anyway, there are parallels, and there's reason to be excited. The difference is McCarthy lost all of that last year due to injury. We didn't even know he was injured. Just this lightning strike out of the blue in the days after what looked to be a pretty impressive performance against the Raiders in the preseason, to the point where Chris and I were like, hey, this guy's going to be the starter. I know they're saying Sam Darnold, but I think this guy's going to be the starter. So we'll see. Jerry Arco. Would the NFL prefer the Packers be owned by an individual in order to hide how profitable they are each year with profit sharing? It appears to me the revelation in their yearly profit hurts the collective bargaining. Is there any scenario where the NFL could force a sale? I think the NFL would love the Packers to be owned by one specific individual. They wouldn't be in Green Bay by now, I believe, if that was the case. So it's good that they're owned by the public. This happened because early in the existence of the Packers, they didn't have money. And this was a way to raise money, period. The NFL would prefer every team be owned and held the way the other teams are owned and held. Now, I've argued in the past that one of the ways to cure having bad owners is to have corporations own these teams, where you have committees and bodies that ensure proper governance and other just management of the team, and the CEO of the team is accountable to someone. The de facto owner of the team could, in theory, be fired if he or she is screwing up. That doesn't mean it's going to be dramatically better. There are plenty of corporations that suck. But it is one alternative to a reality where you've got multi-billionaires who buy these teams for sport and think they know what they're doing and screw everything up. That's not good for the fans of the team. That's not good for anybody. But yeah, I think the NFL would strongly prefer that the Packers not be publicly owned, but it's too late. What are you going to do? You're going to track everybody down and buy back their stock? Every single person who has purchased stock, track down all those certificates, the worthless non-stock stock that you can't resell, that doesn't appreciate in value. I think it would be virtually impossible to pull that off. Wasp 49, do you think we'll reach a point where players who recently signed contract extensions will start asking for raises a year later because other players are getting paid more? I think we're potentially already there. It usually doesn't happen a year later, usually a couple of years, because the market keeps changing and some teams just say, hey, you signed your contract, honor your contract. I remember when the Eagles thought they were like cracking the code by signing guys to ridiculously long extensions. Who were some of the players? Sean Andrews, remember him? There was defensive tackle Mike something. I don't think his last name was something. It would be a hell of a coincidence if it was. But that blows up in your face because you signed the guy for like 9 years. And then after 3-4 years, his contract is just crap. Sorry, you signed a contract. Sir, you have signed a contract. Honor your contract. That doesn't work. That's not how you get the most out of human beings. It's just not good. And it didn't work for the Eagles. So you got to be flexible. 1 year later, it usually doesn't happen like that. But yeah, with the market always changing, that's why I've suggested for years that franchise quarterbacks should just get a percentage of the salary cap. Protects the team, protects them. You got 17 cents on the dollar that goes to the quarterback, no matter what the cap is. You got 83 cents on the dollar that you can use for your other players. Sounds fair to me. Players protected, team is protected. But they won't do it. You know why they won't do it? I mentioned this in the Napoleon article earlier. When I was asking around, because it's okay in the CBA, there's nothing against it. When I was asking around, management council won't let them do it. That was the common response I got. But they don't collude. Never collude. Just a couple more real quick. Brandon Elkins wanted to know if I've gleaned anything interesting from the new season of quarterback. The first episode was great because we got a lot of candid, raw admissions from Kirk Cousins about getting the rug pulled out from under him in Atlanta after he got $100 million guaranteed at signing. He assumed that would guarantee him at least 2 years as starter. He gets benched during the first year. If he'd known, would he have stayed in Minnesota? I mean, it's still $100 million that the Vikings weren't going to commit. The Falcons screwed this up. They committed $100 million to a guy that they benched after 13, 14 games. And now they want to get rid of him and they can't. So that was the biggest revelation. When I started watching it, I thought, hey, man, how many PFT posts are we going to get out of this series? I mean, yeah. It was that one, and it was Joe Burrow talking about his burglary. That was it. So, yeah, hey, look, I watched it all in one day. It was entertaining, but I wasn't blown away by it. And there weren't a lot of things I didn't already know. For most of these NFL reality, documentary, infomercial shows, I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that I didn't already know. For people who don't follow it as closely as I do, okay, hey, you're going to learn some stuff you didn't know. Most of the stuff I already knew. Last one, and this comes from Will, if the Steelers fail to win a playoff game this year, which of their current starters do you think have a high chance of being gone after the season? Look, I don't know how they're going to react if they fail to win a playoff game this year. TJ Watt recently told Graham Bensinger it's totally unacceptable that he hasn't won a playoff game. And that's how long it's been. He was drafted in April of 2017. They won their last playoff game in January of 2017. I think it's a given Aaron Rodgers won't be back. And I know he only signed a one-year deal. And he said, well, I'm staying 1 year. If it goes really, really, really well, he'll want to come back next year. He'll want to, like Brett Favre wanted to come back to Minnesota after 2009, even though it ended up being a mistake. He'll want to come back. If it doesn't go well, he won't be back, and he won't want to come back. That'll be it. So they'll probably clear out the quarterback depth chart again, and maybe they'll try to get themselves in position to draft someone who will be the next first-round quarterback who works out. Terry Bradshaw, Ben Roethlisberger, not Kenny Pickett, and also not Mark Malone. He was a first-round pick of the Steelers once upon a time. And as I say that, I'm thinking, was he? He was. At one point, he had the longest touchdown reception in Steelers history. They played him at receiver. He caught a 90-yard touchdown pass. I saw it happen live on TV when it happened. And now I got to look it up to make sure it actually did happen. And I'm not just having one of those moments that you tend to have when you land on the wrong side of 60. That's it for today. Thanks for some of your time as always. One more edition of PFT PM before Monday. And quick programming note, Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern, AM, PFT Live, Peacock, Sirius XM 85, 6 o'clock local time, Sky Sports Mix for our friends in the UK and Ireland. And they're so happy about it. Like the people who would always email me questions, when are you coming back? They're now emailing me to tell me we're going to be back on Monday. It's like, I know. I appreciate your emails, but I know. You can go ahead and email me, and I'm glad you're happy, and we appreciate your support, but I'm aware. Tuesday night, it's off to Canton. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, at least Wednesday, Thursday. There's a chance I'll come home after the game Thursday night because it's just a couple hours away and do the show from here on Friday. But at least Wednesday, Thursday, it'll be Chris and me in the place that Chris loves. It's his favorite road location for PFT Live. Of all of the places we go, we're going back to Chris's favorite spot to do the show. So that's next week. Thanks again for some of your time. We'll see you real soon. Check us around the clock at profootballtalk.com. Have a great Thursday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.